Hello, and welcome to the United for Math series on plane shapes. In this lesson, students will be classifying triangles based on 1, the number of sides that are of equal length, and 2, the types of angles they have. It's important that students understand the different types of angles, so if they're still struggling with that, check out lesson 3 in this series titled Classifying Angles. Let's take a look at our first example. Here we have a triangle that has 1, 2, 3 sides of equal length. So 3 equal sides. We can go ahead and classify this triangle as an equilateral triangle. Next, this triangle has 2 sides of equal length. So we have 2 equal sides. So we can go ahead and describe this triangle as an isosceles triangle. And finally, this triangle has no equal sides. We know that because there are no little tick marks here on the triangle. We can see that that's how we represent an equal side. So we have no equal sides here. So we would classify this as a scalene triangle. Our equilateral triangle has 3 equal sides. So that root word equal can help students to remember that. Our isosceles triangle has 2 equal sides. I have a little fun with that as we have 2 eyes, so our isosceles triangle has 2 equal angles. And then our scalene triangle has no equal sides. Let's take a look at another example. So the second way we can classify triangles is by their angles. So let's take a look at this triangle first. I can see that a 90-degree angle has been formed within this triangle. So we can go ahead and classify this triangle as a right triangle. Next, this triangle here, I'm not sure if there's 90 degrees. So if I look to see if I were to continue a line straight up here, that would form 90. So I know this is less than 90, and this line here going up is less than 90, and this line here is would create an angle that is less than 90 degrees. So if I have my 3 angles that are less than 90 degrees, I am going to go ahead and classify this as an acute triangle. And finally, down here at the bottom, I see that if I were to try and figure out what this angle is here, if I were to draw my straight line here, my 90 degrees would be here. So I can clearly see that this angle is greater than 90 degrees. And when one angle is greater than 90 degrees, we classify this triangle as an obtuse triangle. So we have our right triangle with one angle at 90 degrees. We have our acute triangle with our 3 angles that are less than 90 degrees. And then our obtuse triangle because one of our angles is greater than 90 degrees. Remind students, when classifying triangles, we need to take into consideration 2 things. The first is how many sides are equal. Remember, all 3 equal sides, that's an equilateral triangle. 2 sides that are equal, isosceles triangle. And no equal sides, that's a scalene triangle. The other way to classify our triangles is using the size of the angles. A 90-degree angle is a right triangle. If we have 3 angles that are less than 90 degrees, that's an acute triangle. And finally, an obtuse triangle is where we have one angle that is greater than 90 degrees. We look forward to seeing you in our next lesson, where we will be looking at attributes of 2D figures, specifically polygons. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.